نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All praises for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of this entire cosmos, and may the choicest blessings of Allah be upon our master Muhammad Arabi Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Just continue with this chapter of Kitab al-Zakah, which is an obligation and the third pillar of Islam. I would just like to talk about the sort of classes of people who are eligible for receiving the zakah payment. A lot of people make these payments through sort of different bodies and different charitable organizations, or they may give, commonly I hear that people send money back to their home countries to assist extended family members who are poor and destitute. But one thing which we must be really clear about is the people who you are giving zakat to. It is an obligation upon us, and we must be wise in knowing that these people don't own value to the nisab level. As I mentioned in the previous video, that if you own $7.50 of gold, then you have reached the nisab level. So to give your obligatory zakat to them, it wouldn't be acceptable. Okay, so you must do your reasonable research, and you must know or understand this. And similarly, 625 grams of silver, which is around about 350 pounds. And again, there's not many people that we know these days that don't own that amount of money. Okay, so we must be careful when we're giving zakat, and we must ensure that we're giving it in the right places. In terms of the different categories of people who are eligible to receive zakah according to the fiqh, that we need to be concerned about is, number one, those people who are the fuqara, who are the faqirs. Okay, and this category of people are those people who do have some wealth, okay, but it doesn't equate to that of the nisab level. All right, so they have some wealth. It may be £100, for instance. For instance sake, this would be a faqir, somebody who owns £100 in total. Okay, this person is a faqir. Okay, although he can buy his next meal, okay, he doesn't have the nisab level. He has she has very little amount of wealth or money to be able to support themselves or survive sort of in this world. Okay, so they are eligible for zakah. That's the first category. And the second category are those people who are the masakin, okay, the miskin. And these are the extreme. These are from those people in the world who are extremely poor. If you're watching this video, the chances are you're probably from a part of the world who doesn't really come across these kind of people. But the miskin actually make up around about 15 to 20% of the population of the entire world, which is a lot of people. And they're from that class of people who don't own anything, okay, and to the extent where they don't know when their next meal will come. Okay, they don't know when the fuqara can, technically speaking, still buy a meal for themselves. They might have some wealth, even though it may be very little. But the point is, the miskin, they are from that category of people. They don't know when their next meal will come. Okay, and this is their status with respect to their ownership. All right. With respect to wealth and things like this. Okay, so these are the two main categories of people that we must be concerned with. And then there is also the Ibn as-Sabil, or is the wayfarer, somebody who's travelling away from their home or is on travels on foot. They haven't brought any of their wealth with them. They may own more than the nisab level back, in their original country or where they live, but at the time of their travel, they don't own anything, okay, and they don't have any reasonable access to that sort of wealth. And this would be the Ibn as-Sabil, the wayfarer, okay, even though, albeit having some wealth in their own country of origin, they are on their journeys and they are eligible for zakat at the time, okay. So, how much does one pay with respect to zakat? As we've established, it's 2.5% which you would pay, which is a very small figure of your wealth. Okay, it is something which you need to pay annually, as I mentioned, in accordance to the lunar year, not the solar year. Okay, so it's around about 355 days. As long as you've owned assets or wealth or cash or silver or gold for that amount of time, thereafter zakat will be payable on it. Okay, so it has to be higher than the nisab level as well. Okay, of course, so beyond 300 or 350 pounds. Okay, there are a few categories of personal possessions and belongings that you don't pay zakat on. Okay, whilst I've mentioned cash, gold, silver, and stock with respect to any business stock that you might have. Okay, there are certain things that you don't need to pay zakat for, alright? And that will be your own residential houses, okay? The houses that you live in, or buildings, okay, that you own. You wouldn't need to pay zakat upon them as they sit there as property. You wouldn't need to pay zakat on your clothes that you wear or what you have personally. Okay, I know some people can have, hundreds of pairs of shoes, but at the end of the day, it is personal, and albeit that might be questionable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nevertheless, there's no zakat payable upon it because it is for personal use. Okay. Similarly, household goods that you own, whether it be a television, whether it be your sofas and things like this, you don't need to pay zakat upon them. Again, that's for personal use. Also, similarly, if you've got personal riding animals, okay, whether it be horses, whether it be other animals that you have for your personal use, again, no zakat is payable upon those either. Slaves for personal use. Again, we mentioned slaves. Again, it's written in the books of hadith and the books of fiqh. So it's important for you to note this. But nevertheless, there's no zakat payable upon them. And lastly, this was probably more applicable, to the Arabian Peninsula and the times of the Prophet ﷺ, but weapons for personal use. Okay, again, you wouldn't pay zakat for them. Sometimes they can get extremely expensive and valuable, but nevertheless, in this day and age, I don't think that would be largely relevant. So, as long as it's not used for trade, there's no zakat on personal use for weaponry. Finally, the final remark which I would like to make, or the final rule which I just want to point out at this point, a lot of people I've heard, it's unfortunate that they tend to give away, wealth that they own at a time when they need to pay zakat, all right, and perhaps to evade paying zakat, unfortunate as it is, perhaps they may give their money away, come Ramadan time, they'll give away most of their wealth, they'll borrow it out, or they'll give it, they'll put it into different people's bank accounts just so they don't have to pay zakat, unfortunately. However, with respect to the ruling in accordance to fiqh and Hanafi fiqh law, actually, even if you've given money out which is borrowed, somebody may be holding it on trust for you, okay? It's considered that somebody's holding it on trust for you, and you're ultimately still the beneficiary of that money, okay? Somebody else you may have appointed as a trustee, alright? But they're holding that money